Hello, you're welcome to another web packaged edition of Your Image. And of course, this week's edition will be a continuation of last week's edition, which talked about a social media solution for public relations practitioners. Of course, my guests are still in the studio with me to continue from where we stopped last week. And join me as I welcome a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, a veteran PR practitioner, Mr. Akin Okudero. You are welcome once again, sir.
Thank you, Bakane. You are a partner in this business. It's a call to duty.
A call to duty, yeah, it is our own. Thank you very much. You're welcome. I also have a social media expert in the house, Mr. Adeola Folorunsho. You are welcome this week again.
Thank you so very much.
And of course, Deji Ogundimu, a public analyst. Of course, he has practiced public relations at a particular time. I believe this program will bring him back to the fold.
Thank you very much.
Now, this week we want to talk about the application of social media in different businesses, in different stratas of human endeavors. And let me start from Mr. Adeola Folorunsho. Now the application. How do we now apply social media to our businesses? We have different types. We have different platforms. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram. We have different, a number of them that we don't even know, that we don't even explore. So can you please start from there?
Okay, thank you very much. Just like you stated earlier, we have quite a number of social media platforms via which we can promote our image as well as our interest as an organization.
Okay.
Getting yourself as an organization to the public via social media is very easy. And that is where content creation comes into play. I can talk about this wristwatch in a number of ways through content creation. You know, I can talk about anything in a number of ways, you know, ways that are attractive, ways that would drive the interest of the public, you know, into believing in what the organization has to offer the public, you know. And it's not just about what organizations have to offer or what organizations have to sell. You know, during the course of the pandemic, we know the state governor has always addressed us majorly or mostly on Fridays. You know, I don't get myself bothered not being, you know, behind the
watching
screen,
television, listening to radio.
I just go to Twitter. I go to the Ogun State government, you know, Twitter handle, and his address, everything will be on the handle. All I do is just to read through. Even you get feedback from people almost immediately. And I must say that the media handlers are doing a great job because they respond via DMs and the likes. You know, they listen to people's suggestions, and these are ways by which, you know, people can, by which handlers can handle the applications for the public interest. Secondly, I would say that I am into events, you know, and I would say that a larger percentage of my jobs have come through the social media. Are you with me?
Yes, please.
From, you know, you have to advertise from known to unknown. From creating known to unknown, from creating content of events I've had in the past, you know, to making people want to believe that definitely it has, you know, some other new stuff, you know, that you know, they can buy into. And via that, you just get messages from your DM. People need you, they need your services, and it works for all brands as well.
Okay. Now, babe, I'll still come back to you. There's a particular question I want to ask you as a social media expert, but let me talk to Mr. Okudero. As a PR practitioner, which particular social media platform do you think is best for your profession, public relations?
Well, let me latch onto the issue of event management that you mentioned. For a PR person, you realize that there must be the usage of combination of all the media if you want to have the larger reach.
Okay.
Let's look at how you manage events personally. For example, at the pre-event level, what are the medium or the platform that you need to use for notice and notification purposes?
Okay.
You could use WhatsApp, you could use email, you could use Messenger, we could use Instagram and all that. That is dishing out information. But if the content is such that you need to, for example, if you are commissioning a project, maybe completed a building or hospital or whatever, then you need to have that picture. That is the image we are talking about. Then, if it is possible that you want them to have an insight into the processes that are taking place, then you can have a video clip.
Very short one?
Very short one. Not more than 30 seconds,
okay,
or at most 60 seconds. Have it included, then you can use YouTube. Of course, you have your website. The website is also a platform in which all those messages, I'm glad that Mr. Ogudibu mentioned that information has to be updated. For those people who are interested in your website, who are interested in your organization, they will be monitoring what is new. And that is why a PR practitioner has to be very, very conversant and aligned to the modern time.
Modern time. Okay. Let me take on your good there. Yes, you mentioned instantaneous information, and as a PR person, even as a business owner, you must align with the trend. Yeah. So now, when people are not internet savvy, they are not social media savvy, how do they strive in business?
The challenge is becoming very, very popular these days. There's hardly an organization you will see these days. Think about the list of business you can see around. All of them, even when it is non-existent, they will tell you a particular social media handle, just for people to know, just for the people and the public to know that they are as well social media savvy and inclined. So it is very, very important. There's nothing that is impossible. There's nothing one cannot learn with time. So everybody is now beginning to realize that the trend of mass media is changing drastically from the conventional media like radio, like television set, like newspaper and the rest of it. So while you are anywhere, everywhere, your phone is handy, and even some phones that are not even Android phones now has some internet-enabled facilities that you can check some, graphics about some information that you can just browse through without necessarily having the big phones to do it. So it is now the in thing. Social media has come to change the faces of so many things when it comes to business, and no organization will want to be left behind in that. So going back to your question, that an organization that is not social media savvy or social media inclined, they will have to, and that is going to begin to add to our employment generation drive. So anybody that has one or two information or knowledge about social media handling will, be having to get, engagement from some organization, no matter how little or big the organization is. So social media is beginning to form an integral part of our business.
Meaning that no business can strive without social media
these days. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you're watching your image. I was talking about social media solutions to PR practitioners. My guests, I'm sure you are really enjoying them. And let me take on Mr. Adeola Florisho. You started your discussion with the Twitter. And most business owners, most government officials make use of Twitter. Do you mean it has edge over others? Is it for the elitist? What can they say about that?
Thank you. I wouldn't say that Twitter has an edge over every other
and why?
Social media applications. But then, the engagements that you get on Twitter is way above that which you get on any other social media app. Instagram is another major social media application. Okay. Yes, organizations use the Instagram so well to portray their businesses.
More of pictures though.
Yes, more of pictures though, and the likes. But then, my love for Twitter is the fact that Twitter is instantaneous.
Okay.
Do you know that we have doctors on Twitter that attend to people?
Yes.
So you mean it is the immediacy that
The immediacy,
makes people to
yes,
fall in love
and the
with
conveniency,
Okay.
you know, that makes people to fall in love with it. If I hear about any organization now, the first thing I'll just ask is, okay, do they have any social media handle? What's their Twitter handle? I'll go to the Twitter handle, check what is on the timeline, you know, what the organization, you know, has always, what the handler has always posted and the likes. That would give me a kind of insight into whether I'm going to develop much passion for the organization or not as a social media expert. But then we need to consider the fact that social media's influence on the citizenry generally, like I said earlier, cannot be overemphasized. Do you know that learning has not really stopped since all schools have been closed down? Learning has not really stopped.
And there has been online classes.
There has been
virtual
online classes, yes.
lectures.
And all schools, mostly private schools, you know, have to meet with their clients, the parents, to know which of these media handles would be best
Even students.
for them to handle. And some use WhatsApp, some use free conference, some use Google Calendar, some different platform via which information is being passed. You know, people are learning. It's like the economy is still moving. Do you know that even during this pandemic, people had virtual weddings? Yeah, people have virtual weddings with people, with some other guests in attendance. And that is, you know, some of the importance or some of the positive vibes that social media has to give. However, we need to consider the fact that you said something about fake information some time ago. We haven't really dealt with that part.
Yes,
So-
I said that the influx of social media has given room for fake information, unverified news by people, especially citizen journalism that we practice these days.
Yes.
And that is what was the assumption of the Jugude. We said, of course.
There is one basic solution to that.
Okay.
And that solution is, if as a government we can have policies that will be so firm on any influencer,
Okay.
let me use that word, any influencer that posts or that conveys messages that are false.
Okay.
You know, when we have some you know, legal what will I say now? When we have
Framework in place?
Framework.
Yes, legal framework in place, then I'm sure that in bits, you know, all of this will reduce. in the
Okay,
society.
let me come down to Mr. Akekundero. Yeah, as beautiful as his submissions are, the virtual meeting and the rest of them, and let's come back to the budgeting. The economic implication of this, can they bear the cost? That's what our population
Of the
is concerned.
social media.
Yes,
channels.
yes, the application.
It all depends on the size of an organization. If the organization is able to accommodate a larger chunk of money and deploy the technology, social media technology in its organization, then that budget will be sizable. But for any organization who believe that no, we are not there yet, and we cannot be able to afford having all those technical materials, then they may not have the budget. So it all depends. But we advise that for any organization that has a big public relations department, then you can see segmentation and professionalization. You can see a social media expert handling a unit, and that entails that the mileage, the connection, the conversation, the image will soar, and at the end of the day it will also have an effect on the bottom line, because such organization who handles products and services, you cannot be able to engage them. In fact, the exhibition aspect of it cannot be used. For example, you can use YouTube to look at how the process of a product takes place, the usage, and in that case people will now know that, okay, this product can be used in this way, in that way. Those are the usefulness of the video, and YouTube will do a lot. But notwithstanding, YouTube, when you post your content to YouTube, it comes back and it can be shared on WhatsApp, it can be shared on every other platform. So I want to say that budget as it is, of course, for any PR practitioner who is able to have a gadget, telephone, then he should be able to do all those things, because provided he inputs all those applications on his phone. And I want to also talk about what the PR, the social media side, what they normally do. They are adept in identifying some platforms like GoDaddy, like TikTok. Those are highly influential applications that you use. When you use it, in fact, they also connect with all the YouTube, whatever, and then even reach out beyond your expectation. So these are the areas where budget comes in. Because when you are talking of budget, you need to realize that just posting something on social media is not enough. You need to do paid adverts. As you do paid adverts in traditional media, you also have to do paid adverts on social media. On Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, you have to promote. So those are the essence.
Okay.
And that is why the budget has to be increased.
Budget has to be increased, and definitely I'm sure that will affect the clients too. Exactly. They will have to pay more. Now, it seems we are talking to the elitist. What about, let's consider people, the local business owners who are not even, don't have any business to do with social media. How do they transfer their business? The market women, the Okada rider, the taxi drivers, and they have something to offer to people, but they don't know how to. So how do you think they can get out of the quagmire?
You mean the importance of social media for their business as well?
I mean that yes, they want to at least advertise one way or the other.
Like I said earlier on, social media is beginning to, just like many people will be losing their jobs these days because of the pandemic. A lot of opportunities has shown its face and prompts themselves on our foreheads, knowingly or unknowingly. It just happened naturally that we can do this without people coming to office. Then let us downsize and raise some money to save the overhead in some ways. The same thing, some other people that doesn't have jobs, the jobs in quotes now, but once you are social media savvy, social media, you have a social media know-how, then there's a job waiting for you somewhere. By the time you begin to let people know that, okay, as an Okada rider, as Mama Onigure, and mommy, we can do this, and this is your store, we can promote it in a way. How are you going to do that? Let me just see. Then you begin to, enlighten them. Mommy, daddy, this is the way people are going now, social media. Have you heard about this? Have you heard about Facebook? Have you heard about, how is that going to happen? So it's going to be diversification and let me just say, thinking out of the box. We just begin to let people get more of what they never bargained for in terms of positivities now. So reaching out to people that doesn't know the technical know-how handling social media, then social media experts, you will now begin to train more people, younger people that could be thinking, how do I get out of the quagmire of no money, no job, this, that. So I just think everybody needs social media. Like you have said now, I was stunned when you mentioned market people, Okada riders, and the rest of it. But thinking out of the box, you would have people to just reach out to them. There are ways that you can promote your business. These that, like, you don't call them Okada riders anymore. We've had some applications these days that you just get on your phone, order for things, and they come to you. So people will now begin to think in that, like, in that wise, and begin to upgrade their business. Nobody should sit down and fold their arms and expecting miracles to happen. So you just have to start thinking out of the box as well and being updated.
Let me just comment. You are underestimating those people you just mentioned. Look at the issue of all right.
Yeah.
Oh,
That would be an advert. That would be an advert. You just
no. We are just illustrating. Just to let you know that the people in the ranks of the ladder too, they are more IT savvy now. They may not have all the applications, but they have ones that are very useful for their own particular business. And you could see deliveries are now being done by those local marketers.
Yes.
Deliveries are being done. You'll be surprised. They move certain food items, certain property items, they move it around and they connect to their clients. So the IT social media application is now being imbibed. So
okay, now let me just ask this as a social media expert. Is it compulsory to combine all these social media platforms for a business owner, or there should be a particular one that is germane to the business you do? Is it compulsory? I have Twitter handle, I have Instagram, I have Facebook, I have all of that to drive my business. Is it compulsory for me to do that?
Well, if the organization has the capacity to absorb more than 2 media handles, then there is nothing bad about that. But whatever that is worth doing at all is worth doing well. Even if it's going to be one and it's going to be functional, then it should be to the utmost capacity. You know, the perfection should just be on point. The messages should be as direct as possible. The post or whatever should be inviting, you know, should be something that is interesting to the clients, to the public. I hope you get what I'm saying now. So basically, if what as an organization what you can handle or manage is just one media platform, then good so be it. You know, but ensure that it is managed by an expert. That I would always say.
And you dish out good content.
So the fact that I use Android phone, I can, you know, I have a Facebook account, does not mean that I can manage my image or the image of my brand perfectly well.
Okay, a very quick one from you, sir.
Well, I want to say that a public relation expert has got no excuse nowadays not to understand how to use social media to promote his organization.
All right. In fact, I'm sure you have really enjoyed my guest today, and it's an issue that is burning, that is very germane to every business, and even to everybody in the world these days, because I don't think there's anything that you do without the input of social media, and that has been extensively and exhaustively discussed by my guest today. And this is where we draw the curtains of this week's edition of Your Image. The topic has been social media solutions for public relations practitioners. I want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Aki Okunderu. Thank you very much.
I'm always ready to be here.
And Mr. Adiola Folorenshaw, our social media expert, thank you so much. Your submission has been taken, and we appreciate your being here today. And of course, Mr. Dejogulimi, public affairs analyst, thank you very much. We do appreciate, and we believe when we invite you next time, we will oblige us.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure being here.
And until we meet next week, let's make judicious use of our social media so that our businesses can thrive for the best. Thank you. See you next week, and God bless you.